The insight on the beloved Shawn Ray up next.
I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution. And we're live for another episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, joined by the technician, Chris Aceto. Oh, that was a small Chris Aceto. There's a big Chris Aceto. What's up, Chris? It's a beautiful January. I'm assuming you're back in your normal Maine little house there. Is it cold there?
It is like 30, and we still don't have snow. January.
You're lucky. New York had snow, I hear.
DC had snow. Atlanta, outside Atlanta, Georgia,
right?
where my brother-in-law lives, had like 7 inches.
Wow, they never get snow. What was that? Remember when we were kids, we'd watch that Christmas special, and they would always be down south, and they'd be always saying, we wish there would be snow, and there was never snow on Christmas, and then they got it one year. What was that? Remember that show?
What show, Dave?
One of those Christmas cartoons that when we were kids.
You're not giving me much information to make a guess here.
I think it's like Here Comes Santa Claus, or one of those, or Santa Claus is coming to town, or one of these
it's the
origination
weather.
Stories.
You have what do you think of the raging fires? And do you know anyone who lost a house out in the LA?
No, I don't. But I think that I don't think there's a. Have you been seeing the conspiracies online about that? The fires?
Thousands.
The conspiracies is that they're burning down LA purposely so they can rebuild it with the new smart city LA, so they get ready for the Olympics in whatever it is, 28, something like that.
I buy into some conspiracy theories. That one's a little tough. Although, who knows? I'm just kidding. That one's rough.
They actually showed that, and I don't know, because you can, they show you what they want on these stupid social media things, but you can see with the fires, the line of the fires like mimics with the line of where they want to build the railroad or something like that to connect all these, the new smart cities of the future. So who knows?
Well, if I saw that. Have you ever been out to Moon Shadows?
No.
Okay, I figured you may. Moon Shadow, I happened to Google, I said, God, I wonder if Moon Shadows burnt down. It did. It was like a little restaurant, not too little, right on Pacific Coast Highway. It was like places you need to go, like the Firehouse, Cheesecake Factory, Gold's Gym, up the Moon Shadows.
I'll bet you Lee Priest went there before.
Oh, I'm sure Lee Priest has been there. And I went up there. I mean, I've been up there a few times, and I Googled it thinking it's right on the water. It probably didn't, the fire didn't jump over the highway, but sure it did. It burnt down all those houses, not all of them, but on the beach in Malibu.
Yeah, it seems a little suspicious, but who the heck knows? The whole thing is they had the Maui fires. Now they have this fires. Wasn't there a fire someplace else too? I think.
Well, that's why I'm saying it doesn't snow in Maine anymore. It doesn't.
Yeah.
We used to have like 9. Typical winter would be like when I was a kid, 120 inches. We have none for like 3 years straight.
Yeah. My good friend, one of my good friends who works for my company, said to me, he ran my birthday's next month, as you know. Your birthday obviously just was around the corner, and I am an Aquarius, and this is supposed to be like a special age of Aquarius. I don't know, some planets moving into. I think Saturn's moving into the right place to be. I don't know. So he ran my astrological chart. You basically give him your your date of birth, the time you were born, where you were born, and all this stuff. And then they give you this whole chart. And so he's like, for your birthday, he says you really should, you should really travel. That's what according to the chart. I don't know how the chart knows this.
Yeah.
And there's 3 places you should travel to. I said, well, what are the 3 places I should travel to? He said, one place would be Southern California. Like, I said, okay, that doesn't sound too bad on my birthday because it's going to be cold and it's, at least that's a warm place to go to. I said, where are the other 2 places? He's like, well, one of them is in Ontario, Canada. If you want business related stuff, go to LA. He said, if you want like more of a spiritual experience, then you're going to go to Ontario. I said, well, I can't go to Canada because I'm a felon and it's too cold there. I said, where's the 3rd place? He's like, Anchorage, Alaska. I said, ain't happening. How come 2 of the places are like in the Arctic, circle of the winters?
Maybe there's some like underlying message there.
Yeah, I don't know. So I might take a trip out to California, follow the astrological advice. I was thinking of getting out and just going someplace. I know it's 2 weeks before the Arnold, but I don't know. Sometimes it's depressing to sit around on your birthday. So I might just go out to Cali and see my good friend Umberto out there. And so I'm thinking about that. We'll see. I'm going to look at plane flights.
I spoke to Ron Partlow and wanted the pressing question is if Canada becomes the 51st state as Trump wants, what is NPC going to do with pro cards for the?
Yeah, they'll have more. They'll have more probably. If it becomes the 51st state, they'll have they'll make a special division for the Canadians. Let me ask you this question: If they make the Canada the 51st state, would I be able to go there? Would it all of a sudden now remove the barrier for me going?
I don't know. If you're a felon, I'm told that Trump is a felon as of like 4 days ago. So maybe you.
Oh, that's right. How's he going to go to Canada? He's going to have that. Maybe that's why he's making it the 51st state. Yeah,
that's making it the 51st state. That's what the conspiracy theories.
That's right.
They're the same ones that say that they burnt down the Palisades so that they could make the Olympic train run on time.
Oh my God! Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I always like to do something. This is the only time of year really we have a couple of weeks where we're not really doing something bodybuilding related. So we have kind of December is kind of a little off, but that's hard to travel because it's too much holiday BS. January is kind of downtime and February is downtime. And then it's the Arnold. So the Arnold is early this year. It's the February 28th weekend. So we got it. Oh, did you watch that interview? You did watch that interview with on Patrick Bet David with Tony Robbins?
Yeah, of course.
Good interview, right?
Yeah, I love Tony Robbins.
Did you know Tony Robbins was born on February 29th?
Which
on
means,
a leap year.
Leap year.
Yeah. So it's pretty interesting. He's a unique guy. I didn't realize that his family was so poor. Did you?
I did. Someone gave me his tapes in 1989. So go back, 89, 99.
Wow, that's a long time.
19. So like 35, let's say 36 years ago, 46, 56. So he was only 28.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have an infomercial yet. And they gave me his tapes. They brought him into the Gold's Gym Venice office that I had.
Oh, really?
But, someone gave them to me and they wanted me to listen to them.
Oh, someone brought the tapes and not actually Tony Robbins. Okay.
And they sat in my office. I just told my son Fareed this like 20 minutes ago. They sat in my office for 6 months.
That's funny.
The guy said I want my tapes back. And he asked me, did I listen to him? I said, no. He was so pissed at me.
Oh, no.
He thought I could benefit from him. So out of guilt, I said, I'll listen to him. And I was like, the first tape, I was hooked.
Really? They were that good, huh?
Cassette tapes. It was cassette tapes. I think it was like 17. And they were in this, it was like this flimsy little cassette thing. And, I don't know how he was marketing back then. He might have had like a late night, infomercial going in those days. I don't know, but.
He was young. That was young, 28 years old.
20, that's what I said. Must have been 27 or so.
Well, for people who don't know the story, I think I got to tell the story because it's so compelling. So when he was a kid, he had like 4 different fathers. I mean, growing up, his real father was not around. The last father, the 4th father, actually is the one who adopted him, and that's whose name, Robbins, he took. So he really liked that adopted father. And I guess they didn't have any money. Excuse me. And Thanksgiving was coming up, and it wasn't like they were going to starve, but they were going to be eating like bread and shit like that. They weren't eating turkey, you know. And so someone in the neighborhood decided to gift them a turkey dinner, you know, for the whole family. And they knocked on the door, and his father answered the door, and they said, well, you know, someone in the neighborhood wants a, you know, bought this for the family, and, you know, here it is. And the father's like, we don't take charity, you know, which is, you know, sounds like a typical Italian, right, response, right? We don't take charity. And meanwhile, they're like, you know, salivating, looking at this turkey. He's like, and the guy's like, you know, he's like, no, take it back. We don't want it. We don't take charity. And the man who was delivering it said, listen, I know you're a proud man, and, you know, and everything like that. And I understand that, being a man myself, but it's Thanksgiving, you know, your kids, I'm sure that they'd appreciate it. So maybe, you know, you can just maybe look the other way this time, and just, you know, let them enjoy the holiday. And so he's like, fine. He just walked away, and the guy dropped the turkey off, and he didn't even say thank you, slammed the door in the guy's face. And he's like, Tony Robbins, like, we all jumped in there. We were like, we devoured this dinner. And he said, when I saw that, and it's interesting, the father, like a month or 2 later, moved out and left the family, just disappeared. Couldn't handle the shame of the fact that he couldn't support his family. And Tony said after that, he realized for the first time that actually people do care about other people, and no one wanted credit for it. And no one wanted, you know, did it for any particular reason other than to help out his family. And he said after that, it changed his life. He said, at that moment in my mind, I said, I am going to help other people. I'm going to feed other people. And he's been feeding people for like the last 30 years. Matter of fact, his latest goal, I guess, is working with this Feed the World like foundation. And he said, how many meals would we need to make to feed everyone in the world that's hungry? They said probably 70 billion. He's like, all right, we're going to do 100 billion meals this year. And that's the goal. And he said they're on par to do 100 billion meals. It sounds like a lot of meals to me, but he said he's doing it. So, I mean, this guy is really, you know, yes, he makes money, but he really does care about people. And, you know, that one story that he told just changed the whole scope of his life. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I interviewed him, I told you, for Muscle and Fitness.
Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah. You just said that.
Very aligned with Dorian Yates on like short workouts, all out. Same thing with cardio too. I think he had some type of schedule, because I asked him about his workout schedule, and I know the workouts were short and intense, very short, and the cardio was short too. I think he would do like 10 minutes a day, like crazy high heart rate, all out.
Well, he probably has no time to do anything else. He's so busy. This guy runs like 15 companies, doesn't he?
I think he said what? He looks like the cousin to Arnold Dave.
He looks a little, you know who looks a little like him also? Frank Zeppi and him look like they could be related. Too.
Yeah, he's got a little, like, he might have a little Herman Munster, like, blended in there too.
Well, he talked also about how he lost 125 million on an investment, and the investment, ironically enough, was Twin Lab, the company that the Bleckman brothers owned. And I'm not sure if he bought it directly from them or if he bought it from the people who had bought it for the Bleckmans. But what happened was the Bleckmans had, you know, it was a blockbuster company. They took it public, then they took an investor on. And so they kind of pulled a lot of money out of that company. So I think by the time Anthony Robbins bought it, it was kind of almost bankrupted, and it was a bad decision. He said it was the only really bad business move that he made. And, you know, he's prides himself on being able to read people and see, you know, good moves and see what people's incentives are and motivations are. And he everyone makes a mistake. He got bamboozled. Yeah, he got bamboozled.
He did.
Sure, never happened again.
When I first, and I wasn't that interested back then, but he owned this castle in San Diego. He used to rent.
He said that.
And then he ended up buying it. So I Googled his current house, and it's just north of Palm Beach, but it runs right from the Atlantic Ocean right to whatever that river is, the Lake Worth River, or whatever not the lake, whatever. whatever makes Palm Beach exclusive and super crazy nice, where Mar-a-Lago runs from like the beach on one side and the lake on the other. So does his property, but it's his own personal house.
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up right now so I can find it for you. But
it's like 16,000 square feet. He bought it in 2013 for 25 million, which is like, oh my gosh, it's got to be worth 100 now. Not 80 million, 100 million.
This one?
Yep, that's the one.
Wow. Yeah, it's pretty nice.
The inside.
Looks pretty big.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's really nice.
The inside is a knock. It's like the Four Seasons Hotel built a house.
16,000 square feet, 171 feet of ocean footage, 50-foot dock boat.
Well, the boat is in the backyard.
Wow.
Like they call it a lake. I don't know if it's. Yeah, it must run right.
They're not showing the backyard here, but pretty incredible. Yeah, well, he's very. Look, the guy's very successful. I mean, and he doesn't probably have to work another day in his life. And the guy runs 15 companies actively, and I think he said he was involved in like 300 other companies that he actually owns, but he doesn't actually operate those. So it's pretty impressive.
I'd like to see him on Shark Tank.
He would be very good on Shark Tank. Yeah, he'd be very good. But would you, if you had like a lot of money, would you like to be on that show? Would that be something that you would enjoy?
No, because I think.
Or would you turn everyone down?
No, because you know, the people go on Shark Tank who are the judges on that. They have a lot of. I think they have a lot of versatility. You know what I mean? To see like. To see where the success is in companies that they're not familiar with at all. Does that make sense? Some people are like, you know, good in maybe like one little small segment of business. Not segment, but a specialty, you know. And like Warren Buffett could just like sit there and pick, you know, 100 out of 100 winners whenever they're presented to him, even if he doesn't know anything about the product.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, they do have like the girl Lori Grana, she has the home shopping. You know, she's
Mario, Dave, I'll bring 5 Allies on home shopping. Women would love it.
Exactly. So what's going on with you and Shawn Ray now? You guys are fighting again?
Beloved Shawn Ray. I got a new nickname for him, Beloved, because he's so beloved.
Why do you call him that?
Because he is loved by everybody.
Well, he criticized you last week for Derek Lundsford switching coaches. Well, Derek Lundsford left, obviously. Hani's retired, and then he went to you. And then Shawn was putting down the fact that Lunsford felt he needed to have you as a coach, and he couldn't coach himself. Right? Am I getting the story pretty much right?
Yeah, that's right. And so to give you a backdrop to that is, you know, I posted a couple things to make fun of Shawn, which he deserves it, on my Instagram. And some people, very few, say like, oh, you know, freedom of speech, you can say anything he wants, and like, you know, grow some thick skin, Chris. And you know, the fact of the matter is, anyone is open to criticism, good and bad. Dave, your supplements are open to criticism. Say anything good about them. Judges are open to criticism. I feel like I can criticize a judge's decision. You know, it is what it is, and anyone can criticize me on coaching ability. But the irony, or not the irony, but you know what Shawn overlooks, and that's why I put up on my Instagram, is I've coached 126 bodybuilders to professional wins, 48 different athletes. If you get 10 wins, I would consider you a success. Or 20 wins, that's a success. I don't have 20, 24, 28, 33, 39, 45, 55, 65, 71, 78, 80, 84, 88, 90, 92, 93, 94, 105, 118.
Let's see what he said here. Let's hear what he said. Hold on. Sid, play it. So you want to put the volume on for that? He's pulling the clip. Again, Chris, finish.
Tell Sid to put it on hold.
Okay.
Because it's not important what he said. So it's 126 wins. The 48 people can't even fit in Anthony Robbins' house. The 48 different bodybuilders. Right. So being critical, he's being critical of me, which is totally fine. What's this weird thing, though, is that he also criticizes coaches in general, including very successful coaches outside of me. And the odd thing is that he never had a coach, and he never won an Arnold, and he never won the Olympia. And he's too egocentric.
Well, Shawn didn't win the Arnold.
I said he's never won the Arnold, and he's never won the Olympia. And
but Shawn, you're saying Shawn never did? Shawn did, though, win the Arnold.
No, he did not. Mike Ashley won. He was disqualified.
No, but then Shawn won the year after that.
So he won one.
Yeah. So, for the record. Yeah.
Everyone who passed him, from Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, Chris Cormier beat him. There's a Nasser. LeBron beat him. All these people.
Ronnie.
The last time I looked at the best basketball team in history, where Michael Jordan was the head, he still had a coach. Yes, Michael Jordan and the gang ran up and down the court. Yes, they did all the physical work. But who called the timeouts? Who oversaw the offense that they were going to run, the defense that they were going to run? Who came in to make critical decisions to benefit the team? It's a coach. It's like saying, oh, the guys in the NFL, they don't need a coach. They're Tom Brady doesn't need a coach.
Right.
All the guys in the major league have batting coaches. Mm-hmm. So this idea that bodies don't need a coach is just Shawn Ray trying to say, I never did, because he always makes it about him. So that said, you can criticize. My criticism of Shawn Ray is not about me. It's about him. And he's a whiner, not a winner. And the criticism is that he's committed unforgivable commentary on bodybuilders that go beyond the pale. And the first one was when Jose Raymond was competing at the Mr. Olympia, and he got third place in the Olympia. Jose Raymond is one of the best bodybuilders of all time. He rejected, 5, 6, 7, 8 times he won the nationals. And they said, oh, you can have pro. I said, I don't want it. I'm not ready. Andy was natural bodybuilder. And Jose was at the Olympia in 2016, and Shawn Ray was commentating as an official commentator on the show for people at home paying for the contest on pay-per-view. And Shawn Ray, rather than talk about how good Jose looked, he got third. It's not like he got 9th, 15th, or 18th. He got third place. Right. He was in the first call-out with 2 other people. He commented on his marital status and wondered, declared that he's been having marital issues. Can you imagine how fast Bob Costas or John Madden would be pulled from the NFL if John Madden was out there and Tom Brady threw 2 interceptions, and John Madden said, well, I saw Giselle down in South Beach with a 18-year-old guy. But you know what? The people at the Olympia did this.
Yep.
And shame on them. Shame on them. So my criticism is the utter lack of professionalism and the juvenile thought process that he has. And then we know when Dallas McCarver passed away, he hadn't been dead 18 hours. Shawn Ray ran onto the MD boards, which were very popular at that time. It was like Instagram, right? There was there's no real big audience on Instagram or TikTok or even Facebook. You know, the place to go to communicate with other people around the world was, at that time, muscular development forums.
Right.
And Shawn posted a cartoon of the Grim Reaper, and like a child making it about himself, said, quote, "I told you so." Not the gratuitous thoughts and prayers, not thinking about how his mother and father must feel, or his best friend, not thinking about how his immediate family must feel, or how delicate the situation was. He made it about himself, which he always does, just like I never had a coach, and posted a cartoon of the Grim Reaper and declared, like an excited child, "I told you so." And then, as you know, because you were the host, when Shawn Rhoden passed away, Shawn Ray came on your show.
Yep.
And said he slandered a dead person. Same thing. What, I don't know how far you would know, it was your show. How long after Shawn passed away? It was not long at all. He said, everyone knows that Shawn Rhoden had recreational drug problems.
Right.
That is a lie.
Yep.
It's one thing to lie about a person who is right in front of you so that that person can dispute it. It's another to lie behind their back. It's unforgivable to lie about a person who's dead. And yet, I understand, I hope it's not true, he's still working with the people who do this. The Olympia people. Maybe not as a color commentator where you can come on and say, well, you know, I heard this person, you know, was out banging some chick last night, and that's why they're holding water today. You know, it's the same Shawn Ray who runs around FIBO in 2013 to anyone who listened to talk about negatively about Kai Green. How do I know that? He ran to tell me.
What do you say about Kai Green?
I won't say what he said about Kai Green, but I'll say that he said something very unflattering about Kai Green.
But did it have anything to do with the fruit?
I won't say what it's about, but you know, it's not about, you know, there's a lot of gossip around, there's a lot of innuendo, there's a lot of stuff that goes on, and people, you know, but if he's telling me who doesn't even like, can you imagine who he's telling?
Right. Sid, play that clip. I want to hear the clip. And let's see what Sid's got that clip queued up. Oh, here it goes.
But they could go in the gym. So when he's training with the guy that was keeping him at bay, and here's Ronnie training with the guy that's hot on his heels, those training sessions probably were pretty exhausting. They were probably exactly what each of them needed. Derek needs those type of workouts throughout the year. And if I were him, I'd be like, look, I know how to do the protocols. I worked with Bahani and we got all that crap down. Bring me somebody that's going to take me to the next level, someone that's going to challenge me in the gym. Aceto hasn't been in the gym. Aceto hasn't been underneath the bar. Aceto's not training with these athletes. This is an experiment that could go really good or could go really bad. And if it goes really bad, we're going to be sitting here, 11 months from now looking at each other going, well, he did this to himself because he certainly didn't have to bring this element into his camp.
Well, I'm going to take Chris Cormier out of the equation for a minute because I don't think that's the catalyst.
Chris doesn't train. He's in the gym with his sweats a la Charles Glass.
Well, but what I'm saying is from a training standpoint, I don't think it makes or breaks Derek. If it gives him some new exercises and some different angles he can utilize or whatever Chris's knowledge is, so be it, okay? My main concern and focus is really on is working with a new trainer, be it Chris Aceto or anybody else. I don't care who else you bring in there, because his protocol is different than Hani Rambot's. Okay, we've seen good and we've seen bad out of Aceto athletes in terms of them showing up on game day. If I'm Derek Lundsford and I've already won the Olympia title, and let's face it, listen, he didn't get 8th last year; he got 3rd, right, in a very close, competition at the Olympia.
I think it's enough said. That's enough. How do you answer that, Chris? I was confused. Was he talking about Chris Cormier training him in the gym, or was he talking about you training him in the gym? I kind of got look at the
just putting in the digs that I haven't been in the gym, which is like it goes back to, it's
but
like
Cormier is training him in the gym, so I don't know what I was confused a little bit with the whole thing, right?
Well, you're not confused. You're just trying to deny what he said, which is he's trying to say, like, that's why I said, Shawn, I got 126 wins, 48 athletes. He's trying to deny success by saying, like, of course I'm not in the gym. Of course I don't go to the gym. Of course I'm skinny. That doesn't not. That doesn't.
Hani's not packing a ton of muscle either. Let me tell you something. Let me just defend you for a minute, because Hani.
Well, why don't I defend myself? And then you
all right, good. I just wanted to say, Hani isn't giving Derek Lunsford any tips on how to get bigger. Okay, I think Derek knows how to get big by now. But go ahead. You said what you were going to say.
That's like saying when you go to the corner of a boxing match with Evander Holyfield, and some fat bald guy is telling him what to do in the corner and trying to redirect him and tell him what to do in the corner. And someone at home saying, what's that fat guy? Doesn't look like he can throw a punch. Doesn't look like he's been in the gym. Doesn't look like he's doing the workout. It's just like fruitless and rhetorical, simply to spout off stupid stuff. And that's what he does. And then, he's
Bob Grushkin was probably the best trainer, right? Look at Bob. And Bob never worked out a day in his life. And he probably had the best insights into training that there were.
It's just an echo chamber. It's Bob talking to Shawn with like 12 people watching.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
regardless,
I think that there's definitely.
The point is, that someone else could say the same thing, and I'll take it from Bob. Bob can say whatever he wants, to say, but the difference is Bob is not on stage commentating, and when the guy comes off saying, well, we saw him better last year when he wasn't having marital problems. That would be like beyond the pale. So that's why there's a difference in terms of who it comes from.
Well, I think the real answer.
Anyone else is not on. Can you imagine if a judge who judges the Olympia went on a board? What's the difference? If a judge had gone on a board after Dallas's passing and it said that, or if a judge, had
wouldn't
gone
be judging anymore.
Had, Sean Roden had recreational drug problems, Jim Manion would kick his ass into outer space. And
all right, let's yeah.
And regardless, whether they talked about Roden or when he talked about Dallas McCarthy, they would pull the plug on his career.
Yeah. Well, he's still around. So let's forget about what he did in the past. Let's talk about what he said right here. And what I think is an important point is that, first of all, Hani is not coaching him anymore. Now, I don't know if Derek dropped Hani before Hani quit, or if Hani quit and then Derek had to find another coach. I don't know what the time frame is. Maybe you know better. I don't know how long you've been working with Derek, but I'll say this: Derek obviously wanted another coach. Whether it was caused by Hani leaving or he wanted to leave on his own, and something didn't work right for this past Olympia prep. Right? Either he was overtrained or he or something went wrong. Okay, we saw that. We did not see, if we would have seen the Derek from the year before, he probably would have won the Olympia again. I think everyone was pretty, convinced of that. So something went wrong. He obviously had conversations with you, and maybe you can fill us in on these conversations. And he felt comfortable enough with you and, what your results were and what you said to him, that he felt, hey, I want to give Chris a chance to bring me in at my best. And I'm assuming it probably had something to do with the fact that he trains at Matt Grego. Matt and you obviously were working together. Matt had great success with you. You want to fill us in on the conversation? What were the conversations that you and Derek had leading up to, deciding that you were going to be his new coach?
Well, Derek told me that, he said, you haven't been in the gym. But just like Shawn Ray, Parrot, you haven't been in the gym, and, you're not doing work. I'm just kidding. Connection into Derek is simply via Matt Grego. And, Matt, for people who don't know, went from like a board shorts competitor, not a winner. Got his pro card, but he was in. I don't mean that in a negative way. I call it board shorts because the division's incredible. Men's physique. He was a men's physique guy, and he asked me to prep him, and I said, I tell all people that all the time. I said, I don't have any experience prepping men's physique guys. I think I prepped one, and just to let you know. And he said, well, we talked back and forth via email, and he said, some people think I should maybe try classic physique. And I said, why don't you send me some pictures? And he sent me some pictures, like board shorts picture, in board shorts. And I said, send some poses. And I said, I think you can do classic. And so he did classic, and he did the New York Pro. He didn't make top 5, even though I thought you're a top 5 guy all day, easy, and potentially could have won the show, but just not big enough. And he did like a couple times, like that year, a couple years ago, and like he was third. And I was like, Matt, the difference between you and first place is so close. They said, well, I'm going to shut it down, for the year. And I said, no, you know what? You have to do one more show, because you can win a show. You know why you can win a show? You can get a different judging panel. So 7 other judges. 2 weeks from now, you can come in the same exact way against the same exact lineup, and you could win because a group of judges may prefer your physique over the 2 guys who just beat you. Right. That's what happened. He did a show like 2 weeks later, and he won that show, beat the 2 guys who beat him, beat 1 or 2 of them. And he qualified for the Olympia, and we went to the Olympia, and he didn't make top 15. And I said the same thing as I did at the New York Pro, where he wasn't top 5. I said, you know what? You're top 15, like it's written all over you easy. You just need another year. And so the next year, he won a show again, and he went to the Olympia, and he was 10th. So, but he gained 20. And
put a lot of size on.
And I didn't know at some point, I didn't even ask for something. He said, you don't know, I trained with Derek. I'm like, what Derek? Oh, he mentioned Derek.
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't know who he meant. And he said, Lundsford. And I said, I didn't know you training with him. He said, yeah. So training with Derek, he put on a lot of mass in the most recent year. So that my connection was simply, that was the connection.
Yeah. I want to interject something too. You told me something very profound. I think that really might be the answer to what happened to Derek. While they were training together and prepping for the Olympia, obviously Hani was prepping Derek at the time, and you were prepping Grego. And you said to me, we would talk about Grego because Grego always said has a metabolism like yours. I feed him burgers and fries every day. The guy's like got a free, and I actually have to tell him, take off the day. I don't want you training today. And he's like, but I have to, Derek's doing legs, and you're like, no training. If you train, you're going to lose. You're going to look worse. And you actually stopped him from training too much because you felt like his metabolism was cranking so fast. And that is a problem. And I know I've been in that situation. I have a very fast metabolism too. When you get excited and the show gets closer, even though you're suffering, you'll make yourself suffer more and more and more because you feel the energy, you feel the show coming up, you want to look your best. And you stopped him. And you know what? That probably saved Grego. It made him look better on stage. He was fuller. He kept his size. He didn't lose muscle. And Derek continued to do, that nonstop, maniacal workouts. And you know what? I know Shawn was trying to say that was what he needs, but you know what? At a certain point when you're in shape, that's exactly what you don't need. And I wonder, and I'm sure this is something that you're probably playing with right now, with Derek, you think he was overtrained for the Olympia? And if so, what have you been doing on the prep for the Arnold that probably is a lot different than he was doing for the Olympia?
Well, I think that, I think that Derek is like a lot of bodybuilders, type A personality, which you have to be for bodybuilding, or should be.
Oh, yeah.
But, there's a capital A and a small A. And sometimes you have to be a small A, because if you push too hard all the time and you want to win so bad, not that saying he wants to win, any more than anyone else in the top echelon, but sometimes you want to win so bad that you will, there's two types of bodybuilders. Some people say, I would eat rocks. That's a metaphor. There's who would eat rocks, right?
Guy Citanino would, yeah.
Whatever it takes to win. If I need to do 4 hours of cardio, or if I have to take every single set at all times to ultra failure, I think that may be, what kind of sort of did him an injustice last year. And I know, because we went to the New York Pro, me, my son, and Amir was there. We were like 4 days out.
Right, I remember.
And I mean, I went to the gym one day with Amir, and because Shawn's right, I haven't been in the gym. I don't need to be in the gym. Steve Jobs does not have to be in the Apple factory watching the Apple. Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs did not know how to design the Apple phone. It was his vision. He didn't know how to design it. He didn't know how to make it, but it was his vision. And that's what a coach is. So I went into the gym to refute a stupid comment of beloved Shawn Ray. I went into the gym with Amir Omaragic, and this was like 4 days out. Dave, the workout was like completely off the charts. The back workout.
Right.
He was like doing the whole rack, pulling down, pull downs so hard. I thought the wire that holds, I thought it was snap in half. And like how fast he was pulling it down. And so he was doing a workout, and then I went over to see Matt doing a workout, and Matt said, I'm just going to do an easy workout. And I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, that workout being hard. Matt's workout, like when people go like 4 days before a contest, I'm going to do a light back workout.
Yeah.
It was track busting. So
really,
I was like, okay. This answers a lot. Because of one, you got a fast metabolism. You take a fast metabolism and you train like that. No wonder why you burn through everything. I have them on like 10 billion calories a day. So I know that intensity when he was getting ready for the Olympia, and he was starting to go a little bit sideways. That's when I say, you know what, you really need days off. And it was like, 4 weeks out, 3 weeks out, 2 weeks, workouts got, less volume. And I don't tinker with people's training unless I think I need to. And I stepped in and said, the volume is too much and the frequency is too much right now. Because you know what, every bodybuilder knows you get to this position where you're almost hanging by a thread. You look really good, but some days you look small, some days, you look fuller, some days, it's hard, like 4 or 5 weeks out to have this to the muscle sometimes, even if you eat, right? You say, God, I took a day and I relaxed my diet. The next day, I still don't have that hard look. And sometimes it's due to too much training. So Matt is very similar in his mentality, type A, to, I think, I mean, they're very good friends to Derek. And I think, if there was one negative, I'm guessing, to Derek's prior prep was simply that, if you told Derek 10, he'd probably do 10 and want to do 110.
Right. Let me ask you this question: How much cardio do you have him doing right now? With the Arnold.
He just started like a little bit. I think this week, 7 weeks out, maybe 30 minutes. I think he's done 2 sessions.
Yeah. Well, that tells you right there that and he's lean. I've seen pictures of him. Thank you, by the way, John Olivia, for the $10 tip, and that's a very nice comment he made about you, Chris.
What was the nice? I'll take the nice comment since I don't have good ones from Shawn Ray. I'll
take everyone uses coaches now. The days of prepping on your own is over, and I'm fighting for the Olympia. And if I'm fighting for the Olympia time, I'd want the best guy available, and Chris is the best guy available. So, very nice. Thank you.
Well, you know what? I have nothing whatsoever against Bob Chick, and I think he's a great announcer too. And he would never go the route of Shawn and like what he said about Jose. I mean, we don't need to use the analogy of Bob Costas or John Madden. We have it right in the sport. We have. Can you imagine if Sid or Bob Chick had said something? There's no difference on the stage. Actually, Bob on the stage only has he's only announcing to 5,000 people at the Olympia. At 2016, there's like 40,000 people watching it, and Shawn is making those comments. So, but Bob said, "Well, we've got good and bad out of Chris." You know what? You get good and bad out of every coach. No coach hits it 100% all the time. And guess what? A lot of coaches hide their negative results.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
I know because a lot of people, email me and I say, who was your coach before? And they tell me, and, I don't say, oh, he hasn't been in the gym. He's skinny,
Yeah. Sid, put up that, I wanted to get Chris's, put up the latest Carlos Thomas video. What do you think of Carlos? I mean, I think Carlos is the opposite of Derek. Like, how you have to stop Derek and Grego from training too hard or too long. I think Carlos is one of these guys that, like Akeem, you can't knock muscle off them. You can torture the shit out of them, but that's what you need to do to get them hard. You almost have to overtrain these guys. What do you think? Is this a good place he's at this point of the prep?
Great. I think he looks tremendous.
I mean, he looks huge.
Huge. He looks
huge. But you think he's going to come in? Do you think he's going to dial this in time?
Oh yeah, he's plenty of time.
He looks the biggest I've ever seen him. So he definitely put some size on. How does that stack up against like a Derek and against a Samson?
I mean, they're different physiques, right? I mean, they're all like, he's shorter.
Yeah.
He's shorter with good proportion too. It's not like he's proportion. He's very impressive there.
Got one from Sam. Let's see the Samson one. So, what is Xavier saying? Disagree on Carlos because he has UC. There's a balance with Carlos. I think he looks insane. Good seeing you, Xavier.
Well, you just mumbled the whole sentence that he Desto said.
He said there is a balance with Carlos. I think he looks insane.
Yeah, he looks great.
But I don't know. He's like, I disagree on Carlos, but only because he has UC. What does that mean?
What's he disagreeing with?
I don't know. Maybe he's arguing with someone. Maybe he argued with someone in the forum.
Oh, okay.
Unless he's not. Xavier, what did you mean by that? It looks like a Chris Aceto text message, what you wrote. Samson does look pretty freaky. I got to tell you, Samson's getting like a much drier and drier look as time passes, like over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I think his body just wasn't mature before that,
Yeah, no, he looks really good.
Oh, let's see what Xavier wrote. I mean, you can't push him into the ground and push too far. With Carlos, I don't know. I mean, maybe mentally you can't do that, but physically, I think his body can handle it. I did it with him and got him in really good shape. So I think you have to really push him hard. I know you're saying he has the ulcerative colitis thing going on, but I think that for short periods of time you can push him, and you're going to have to. Otherwise, he's just not going to get in shape.
Colitis, Carlos?
I didn't know he had ulcerative colitis. I know he had some colitis issues. I didn't know it was ulcerative colitis though.
My brother has that.
Well,
right. It's easier to control than it was 6 years, 7 years, 10 years ago. But
yeah, you know what? You have to be able to push the last. You might not want to do it for 16 weeks of pushing, but you have to push for 4 or 6 weeks to get your body in shape. And you gotta have to. He's going to have to be able to handle that. He's going to have to get enough sleep at night. He's going to have to watch his health. He can't be doing excessive cardio, but I think probably being stricter on the diet will be the best way for him to get in the best shape. Cutting those carbs back if he needs it, and rather than over cardioing him. But I do agree, if you overtrain him, he's not going to do well. But I think you have to push him diet wise, and that's how he's going to be in the best shape. Because if he comes in big and full and has lines but not graininess, he's going to lose to Derek, and he's going to lose to Samson, as far as I'm concerned. So, what do you think about that, Chris?
Yeah, it's a good analysis. I mean, he looks almost though as good here as he did when he was third in Texas, and he looked, pretty darn good when he was third in Texas. Very, very good.
You know what? Samson was winning shows when he was like 90% because he was so much bigger and shapelier, and he flowed well. But then when he got to that Olympia and he had to stand next to Derek and Hottie that year, he took third. He could have won that show had he had the conditioning he had this past year. So I think he realized he had to take it up a notch. And I think Carlos is in that same category. He's so beautiful, his physique. His muscles are round. He flows really well. He's super wide. He's got to bring dry conditioning. If he doesn't, he's going to lose to he'll be top 5 always, but he'll lose to the top echelon of guys. Derek is going to, from behind. Derek is deadly from behind. Back double bicep, back lat spread. I mean, you can't lose those poses to Derek and expect to beat him, in the overall, when the final tally comes. And I think Samson, did just enough at the Olympia to be able to knock him off. But, you have to have that kind of dry conditioning from behind. And I know Carlos can get it because I've done it with him. And I know he's going to do it this time because I know this is a very important show to him. And if he and there's a lot of money on the stake. Let's face it, Chris, $500,000. So that's a lot of reasons to bring your best conditioning. So we'll see. We got. Have you booked your flight yet? What are you going out 2 weeks early?
On my list to do. It's like the to-do list is like 3 pages long.
Yeah, me too.
Top of that, first part, talk negatively about beloved Shawn Ray, so I can cross that one off.
So is your son back home? Because Chris's son was down there training with those guys.
He went to college. So that
he went back to college.
Talk about that. So yeah, that came about because Matt, when Matt met my son had just started training. So that was when Matt didn't, not this past New York Pro, the New York Pro. He ran into him somewhere, and he did one of these. Oh, you're pretty big for 17. Yeah. And I know I was standing right there, Dave, and it was like, oh God. He said, yeah. He said, you're going to compete? And I'm like, what is he talking about? Just started lifting weights. And my son said, froze. And he never freezes, like a deer in headlights. And Matt said, come on, you're going to compete? You're going to get up there? And he just and he goes, maybe someday. And Matt said, oh, you you'll be ready, in a year or something. And so Matt, and then so the next year, Freed just ate like a maniac and went up to he thought he was lean at 250, came down to 170s. He came down to 173 from 250.
Well, I remember when he was 190. He was 190, and you told me my son came into the room today, and he told me, "Dad, I think I need to be leaner than this," right?
Yeah, no, he was all the way up to 240, 235.
I know, but he looked good at 190, and then he told you he had to be leaner. Yeah, I thought that was funny.
More detail at 173. So Matt had always invited him to train, but people do this to me. Oh, you coming out to Alaska or Ontario? Come visit me. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
If you ever in Maine, look me up.
Right.
So Matt,
that's funny.
A serious invite or not, and then when I talked to Derek was hey, I saw your son looks good. There's something. He said, Matt, you should come down to train with me and Matt. So, okay, if he's got the invite from both, I told him, I said, you want to go train with Matt and Derek? And he's like, yeah, for sure. And Cormier was supposed to be in Connecticut visiting somebody. He's been planning this forever. Connecticut and visit someone. And he said, send your son down and I'll train with him. And then, so when my son went to train with Matt and Derek, all of a sudden, out of the blue, I hear, I didn't know Cormier was going down there.
Yeah, I knew. I was supposed to go down there and hang out with them, but I was too lazy to drive there.
Good thing is it saved a trip. And I always talk to Cormier anyway. I talk Bible to him and Jose all the time.
Yeah. Who did your son enjoy more? Derek? Matt? Cormier? Bartley Weaver, our eating champion? Who did he have the most fun with over there? Or what's his name? Kamal was there too, right?
Yeah, he went and stayed with Kamal on Thursday night. Freed is not like me. He plays his cards close and
he gave everyone credit. He's like Greg Valentino. He's like, everyone's a great guy.
Yeah. I wouldn't even ask him the question.
Who do you think he clicked with best if you had to make a guess?
Well, on a personal level, Kamal, because he's known him the longest.
I got you. Okay.
He loves Kamal.
So Kamal was like his surrogate father while he was there. Yeah. Is that what it was?
Exactly.
Because Kamal's the most responsible one there. That's why. Yeah.
Dave, I told him. I think maybe I said on the show last week. I said, you have to go. I said that last week. I said you have to go. Because I forget. Kamal's down there, and because otherwise, had I known, he would have just stayed with Kamal the whole week.
Right. Well, Kamal's the most responsible parent, I'm sure, of all of them down there. Yeah.
You are in Vermont, and you have to your car is on fire, and you can't get in touch with me or your mother. My wife,
Call Kamal, yeah.
You could just text Kamal your coordinates in Vermont and they come find you.
Yeah, exactly.
He's
great.
But yeah.
How is what's the report on Derek's new gym? I heard it's really nice. Did your son like it?
Yeah, he liked the gym. Yeah. I will say that.
What did he say? What did he say made it special or unique? Anything? The equipment? What was it? The environment?
The energy getting to train with those two guys. That's what those three guys. But I told when he came back, and he was like, "Nah," and I said, "Okay, good. Now you know how I felt because I worked at the Joe Weider's bodybuilding camp when I was 19, 20, and 21, same age as him, and I went." Yep. When I was 19, I trained with Lee Haney.
Right.
Rich Gaspari, who was I think Gaspari was 21. That's sick, Dave. And he was in the Olympics.
He was really good. Yeah, he was really ahead of his time back then. Yeah.
Oh, totally. And I said, then I had to come back like you to college in New England. Like, we're going to the movies. What do you go do? I said, I'm just going to call. I'm going to text Lee Haney. We didn't have text. I'm going to text Barry, see what he's doing. But that's what he. You know, you get to go train with two people in the Olympia, one Mr. Olympia and Cormier with his accolades and Kamal. And now you're back into reality, like going to class at morning.
Look, he's lucky he has that ability to, you know, that you have those connections for him to do that. I mean, it's like those Nepo kids in Hollywood, you know, people like, how do they get these movies? Well, yeah, their parents are in Hollywood. So of course they're going to have access to people that the regular people don't have access to. So,
you know,
I mean, getting advice on training from Chris Cormier and posing advice from, you know, Derek Lundsford, Mr. Olympia, and, you know, hanging out and going to eat with Kamala Gargny, who's, you know, probably the most successful bodybuilder, you know, next to Dexter Jackson, is pretty good company to keep, you know, as a kid, you know.
Now that you brought up for Kamal, for the 12 listeners for the Bob and beloved Shawn show, I will add to that 126 wins, guys. The oldest Mr. Olympia, 43. Mm-hmm. The oldest, I think, pro winner, Kamal was 48 when he won the 212.
Yeah.
48.
Yeah. Well, I think how old was Chris Dickerson when he won the Mr. Olympia?
42.
The Open. I was with her.
And Cody Montgomery was only 20 when he got his pro card.
Right.
So the diversity amongst those 48 people.
Chris, you know what the answer is? You're just lucky. You're just lucky. You don't really know what you're doing. You're just lucky. Don't you just cut sodium? I thought that's what you just. You changed now. You don't cut sodium anymore.
That's when Kamal won, and
yeah, you look great. You look great there. Yeah.
Told me he hurt my feelings. He said, "You haven't been in the gym training with me, and you're not in the gym." He's got
the best head of hair too, Chris, of anyone on the Olympia stage.
Does that look like an 88-year-old man?
It's the head of hair that does it, really, is what it is. It's unbelievable. The guy I think he has no telomeres on his cells. I think he just, they never get smaller, so he just doesn't age. But great guy. I'm glad your son had so much fun down there, and thanks for being so candid with the Shawn Ray, Derek Lundsford fiasco. And that's going to take us to the end of this show, Chris. And what's, well, like I said, you're going to book your flight. You'll let us know when you're going to be in there. I'm going to start booking my flight too for the Arnold. I'm kind of getting excited, to be honest with you, because first show of the year, you know, and it's going to be a big one. Obviously, a lot of money at stake. We have big names, Olympia names in the lineup. We have Mr. Olympia, reigning Mr. Olympia. We have last year's Mr. Olympia in this lineup. And this could potentially be one of the best Arnold Classics of all time. So if you haven't booked your trip and you're going to go down to the Arnold, you better do it now. The hotel rooms are filling up. I know Sid and I talked to the promoters, and they're lining up our rooms.
Dave, do you have a room? God.
The Arnold people always get me a room. I got to thank them for that. You know, they get me the reservation. So do you need one?
I may have to sleep on your couch.
Oh, well, that's always fun because I get to tell Chris stories until he falls asleep. So
we'll talk about the Twin Lab when Twin Lab issued
Tony Robbins.
Yeah, 8 million shares of stock, and then they sold it all, bankrupt the company, and then Tony Robbins scooped it up.
Yeah, there you go. The worst investment of his life. But
Tony Robbins' house is nicer, I think, Dave, than the Playboy Mansion.
That's pretty amazing. Yeah,
that
is pretty amazing.
Right now, I don't know where is the Playboy Mansion. Oh no, it's in. I think is it in Bel Air?
I don't know. Hopefully, it didn't burn down. Yeah.
2 calls. I called Will Harris, and I Mayor make sure that they were not burnt out. Not that I could help them, or but
yeah.
Wondering if they were safe. And
Lee Priest was invited to the Playboy Mansion. I don't know if you know that. And I think he was married at the time, so he didn't go. But because James Caan loved Lee Priest, they were very, very tight. And James Caan, I think, invited Lee Priest to the Playboy Mansion, so he could have gone. I said, Lee, you turned down the Playboy Mansion? Wow, you must have been in love. So that was his. He could have had some stories for us there.
How about?
I wonder if they had it. I wonder if they had any freakouts there, like at the Diddy parties.
Could have sent Valentino to the Playboy Mansion. Imagine the
There you
stories.
go. Yeah. I don't think the Playboy Mansion is his scene though. He's more of like a Sound Factory tunnel guy. I don't think he's more of a Playboy Mansion guy.
Well, if he had the opportunity, he'd probably attend.
There you go. All right. Well, we're going to wrap up things, Chris, as we say every week here at Heavy Muscle Radio.
The truth hurts.
We'll see you next week.